The first time Ambassador Kethvar saw a human cry, he thought they were dying. It happened during the peace negotiations on the neutral station Concordia Prime. The human delegate, Dr. Sarah Chun, had just received word that the Hegemony fleet was moving toward Earth. A single tear rolled down her cheek, catching the artificial light of the conference room. Kethvar's 4 eyes widened in alarm. In a species biology, fluid leaking from optical organs meant imminent system failure. "Should we summon medical assistance?" he asked, his translator rendering his chittering voice into flat human speech. Dr. Chin wiped her eye and smiled, another unsettling human expression that showed their predator teeth. "No, Ambassador. I'm just frustrated." Frustrated. Kethvar filed this away with all the other confusing human behaviors he'd observed during the 3-month negotiation. Humans were the newest species to achieve faster-than-light travel, barely 50 years since their first stumbling ventures beyond their home system. They were primitive, emotional, and worst of all, they came from what the Galactic Hegemony classified as a Class XII Deathworld. Only 37 species had evolved on Deathworlds. Most died out before achieving spaceflight. Those that survived were problematic. Dr. Chun, said Supreme Chancellor Vexini, the Hegemony's chief diplomat. Her elegant form shifted colors from calm blue to authoritative purple. "Your species has exactly 72 standard hours to accept our terms. Complete withdrawal from the disputed Kepler sector. Cessation of all terraforming activities. Submission to hegemony oversight of human expansion." "And if we refuse?" Chen asked quietly. Vexini's skin shifted to warning orange. "Then the hegemony will implement the Deathworld Protocol." The room fell silent. Even Kethvar, despite his diplomatic training, felt his exoskeleton quiver. The Deathworld Protocol had only been invoked 3 times in galactic history. Each time, the target species had been completely eliminated. Chun stood slowly, gathering her papers. "I'll relay your message to Earth Command." After the humans left, Kethvar approached the Supreme Chancellor. "Your Excellency, was it wise to mention the protocol? Deathworlders are known for unpredictable reactions." Vexini's colors dimmed to confident gold. "They're a single planet, Ambassador. Barely 200 million citizens. The protocol exists precisely for situations like this, to prevent dangerous species from spreading beyond their homeworld." Kethvar wasn't so sure. In his centuries of diplomatic service, he'd learned to read between the lines of intelligence reports. Humans might be primitive, but they colonized 16 systems in just 50 years. Their population wasn't 200 million. It was closer to 12 billion and growing exponentially. More troubling were the classified reports from Hegemony scouts. Human colonies weren't built on garden worlds like most civilized species preferred. They carved cities from Arctic wastelands, established mines in crushing gravity, built underwater settlements in toxic seas. They seemed to thrive in conditions that would kill other species in minutes. But orders were orders. Within hours, the largest military fleet in galactic history began assembling. 400 ships from 18 different member species, converging on the edge of human space. If you're enjoying this story of humanity's first real test among the stars, make sure to subscribe to Apex Fleet HFY for more epic space warfare tales. Admiral Corvin of the 5th Hegemony Fleet stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Judgment. Through the massive viewports, he could see the assembled armada, a sight that had brought dozens of rebellious species to their knees. Status report. He commanded. His tactical officer, a crystalline being named Shalex, chimed like he broke glass. "All battle groups report ready, Admiral. Long-range sensors detect minimal human activity in the target system. Perhaps 30 vessels, mostly civilian transports." Corvin's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "They're evacuating. Good. Even Deathworlders recognize overwhelming force when they see it." The fleet jumped to hyperspace, expecting to find a cowering world ready to surrender. They were wrong. The Sol system was a fortress. As the Hegemony fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the system's edge, Proximity alarms screamed across every bridge. The space around Earth wasn't empty. It was full of structures that defied easy classification. Admiral, Shalex's voice carried notes of confusion. I'm detecting installations. Thousands of them. They appear to be inside the asteroids. On the main display, what had looked like a normal asteroid belt revealed itself as humanity's greatest engineering project. Entire planetoids have been hollowed out and turned into weapon platforms. Massive railguns emerged from camouflaged openings. Missile silos the size of city blocks cycled open. But that wasn't the strangest part. Sir, the communications officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from the human homeworld. The main screen flickered, showing Dr. Chen once again. But she wasn't in a government building or military command center. She was standing in what looked like a garden, with blue skies and green plants visible behind her. Supreme Chancellor Vexini, Chun said calmly, "Thank you for giving us 72 hours. We put them to good use." Admiral Corvin leaned forward. "Dr. Chun, I presume. I am Admiral Corvin of the Fifth Fleet. Surrender now, and your species will be relocated to suitable worlds under hegemony supervision." Chun smiled at that predator smile again. "Admiral, I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. You see, you're not here to implement the Deathworld Protocol against us." She paused, and her expression grew cold. "We're here to implement it against you." The human fleet decloaked around them. It wasn't 30 ships. It wasn't even 300. Over 2,000 human vessels materialized from stealth systems that shouldn't have existed. But these weren't the primitive chemical rockets the hegemony expected. They were works of art and engineering that defied galactic conventions. Sleek, predatory shapes that move like living things. Massive dreadnoughts that bristled with weapons no database could identify. And everywhere, the humans had done something that made Corvin's blood run cold. They had weaponized their own moon. Luna had been completely transformed into a gun platform the size of a small planet. As the hegemony fleet watched in horror, sections of the moon's surface opened like flower petals, revealing weapon systems that could crack continents. "Impossible," Corvin whispered. "Our intelligence said they were primitive. Their ships used chemical propulsion." Dr. Chen's voice came through clearly. "Although ships, we keep those for short-range work. Everything you've seen for the past 50 years has been exactly what we wanted you to see. If this reveal just gave you chills, smash that like button. The best is yet to come." The battle began with a single shot. One of the hegemony's pride vessels, a Nexary battle cruiser, fired what was meant to be a warning shot across the bow of a human destroyer. The energy beam, powerful enough to level a city, struck the human ship's shields and simply stopped. The destroyer didn't even slow down. Then the humans fired back. The weapon that lanced out from the human ship wasn't energy or projectiles. It was something else entirely, a beam of twisted space-time that folded the Nexary cruiser in half like origami. The massive ship, 3 kilometers of advanced technology, crumpled into a sphere the size of a basketball and winked out of existence. What in the name of the void was that? Corvin demanded. Shalex's harmonic voice cracked with fear. "Unknown, sir. It appears to manipulate fundamental forces. Our shields are useless against it." The human fleet moved like a pack of hunters. They didn't form neat battle lines like civilized species. Instead, they swarmed and struck from unexpected angles, using the asteroids and planets as cover. Their ships moved in ways that should have liquefied their crews under G-forces that would kill any known life form. Admiral Corvin tried to maintain formation, but the humans were everywhere at once. They struck from above the orbital plane, from behind Jupiter's moons, from the shadows of Saturn's rings. It was as if they had turned the entire solar system into a weapon. "Sir," the communications officer's voice was panicked. "The humans are broadcasting on all frequencies. It's some kind of music." Through the chaos of battle, a strange sound filled the hegemony fleet's communications. It was rhythmic, primitive, and somehow terrifying. Human voices rose in what could only be described as a war song. Dr. Chen's voice cut through the music. "That's the battle hymn of the Republic, Admiral. We thought you might appreciate some cultural context for what you're experiencing. A human battleship, smaller than Corvin's flagship, but somehow more menacing, slid alongside the Eternal Judgment. Its hull was scarred with what looked like bite marks, battle damage worn like trophies. This is Captain Maria Santos of a UES Defiant," came a new voice. "Admiral Corvin, you have 30 seconds to surrender before we demonstrate why humans don't negotiate with extinction fleets." Corvin looked at his tactical display. In just 20 minutes, the Hegemony had lost over 100 ships. The humans had lost none. "How?" he asked. "How are you so advanced?" "Our intelligence, Dash. Your intelligence saw what we wanted it to see," Captain Santos replied. "Did you really think a species that survived on a death world for 2 million years would reveal all their capabilities to potential threats?" She was right, Corvin realized. Every assumption the Hegemony had made about humans was wrong. They weren't primitive, they were cautious. They weren't weak, they were deceptive. They weren't desperate refugees from a harsh world. They were predators who had turned their entire species into a weapon. 20 seconds, Admiral. Corvin looked around his bridge at his crew. Beings from a dozen different worlds, all united under the Hegemony's banner of peaceful coexistence. They were dying because he had underestimated humans. "All ships," he transmitted, "cease fire and prepare to surrender." The space around Earth fell silent, except for the drifting wreckage of the most powerful fleet in galactic history. Dr. Chen's face appeared on the main screen again. "Admiral, we're going to do something that might surprise you. We're going to let you go home." Corvin's mandibles clicked in confusion. "You're what?" "Every species that's ever encountered the Deathworld Protocol was eliminated," Chun continued. "We're going to change that precedent. You came here to destroy us because you were afraid of what we might become. We're going to show you what we choose to become." The human ships began moving among the wreckage, not to loot or capture, but to rescue survivors. Medical vessels that had been hidden among the fleet emerged to provide aid to wounded aliens. Captain Santos' voice came through the comm. "Admiral, we're transmitting coordinates for a medical station we've prepared. Your wounded will receive the best care we can provide." "What?" Corvin asked. "We came to exterminate your species." Chen's expression grew sad. "Because that's not who we are, Admiral. Yes, we're from a death world. Yes, we're dangerous when threatened. But we're also human. We help people who need help, even when they've tried to hurt us." 3 months later, Ambassador Kethvar stood in the same conference room on Concordia Prime. But everything had changed. The Hegemony's Supreme Chancellor sat across from Dr. Chun, but Vexini's colors had shifted to humble gray. The peace negotiations weren't about human surrender anymore. They were about establishing humanity as the Hegemony's newest member species. "The Council has voted," Vexini announced. "Humanity is granted full membership with a permanent seat on the Security Committee." Chen nodded. "And the Deathworld Protocol?" "Abolished," Vexini said. "The Council agrees that the galaxy is safer when Deathworld species are integrated rather than eliminated." Kethvar watched the proceedings with wonder. In all his years of diplomatic service, he had never seen anything like it. A species that had faced extinction had instead become the Hegemony's most valued member. After the formal ceremonies, Kethvar approached Dr. Chen privately. "Doctor," he said, "I must ask, how long have you been preparing for this confrontation?" Chun smiled. Not the predator smiles this time, but something warmer. "From the moment we achieved faster-than-light travel, Ambassador, we knew this day would come. Every human colony, every ship, every technological advancement, it was all part of preparing for the test we knew we'd face. And if the Hegemony had chosen diplomacy instead of force, then you would have met the same humans you see today. We didn't become dangerous because you threatened us, Ambassador. We became protectors because that's what the galaxy needs." She gestured to the viewports, where human ships could be seen working alongside Hegemony vessels on joint projects. "The universe is vast and full of wonders, Kethvar, but it's also full of dangers that no single species can face alone. Humans learned that on our death world. Now we're here to teach it to everyone else. Kethvar looked out at the mixed fleet and realized something profound. The galaxy hadn't just gained a new member species. It had gained its guardians. What's your favorite Earth city that you think would be amazing to see rebuilt among the stars? Drop your answer in the comments below. I love reading about the places that make you proud to be human. Years later, when young species achieved spaceflight and faced their first contact with the galactic community, they would hear the story of humanity's test. How a single Deathworld species faced extinction and chose mercy instead of revenge. The Deathworld Protocol was never invoked again. It didn't need to be. After all, the galaxy's most dangerous predators had become its most devoted protectors. And that made all the difference in the universe.